Today's guest has over 40 years coaching and teaching experience. He's also a Hall of Famer. You're going to enjoy this conversation today here on the Pro Talk Podcast. But before I meet today's guest, make sure you push that subscription button as well as the notification bell so you never miss another amazing conversation with another amazing professional. Well, I'm honored. This is my second career basketball coach we're talking to today, Coach Andy Aiken, Hall of Famer. Coach Aiken, welcome.
Thank you, buddy. When I look at you now, I see sweatbands going up and down your arms. You know what I mean? Are you still wearing all those sweatbands? Headband, socks, the whole deal. You had it all going.
Oh, my goodness. I'm busted. Yes, I wore sweatbands to school. I wear wristbands and a watch these days.
You might have been.
But when I play tennis, I wear sweatbands.
You might have been the most all-in kid I've ever coached. I'm just telling you. You were all in. And I wish every kid was like that. But
all in. I'll take that. That's okay.
No, it was awesome. Yeah. Because, you were seventh grader, I think, when I first started. That was my first year coaching. All right. And I made so many mistakes with y'all that I look back now and go, and I learned so much. Of course, when you first start teaching, you think, I know all this. I'm Bobby Knight, but you're not. You're far from it. But yeah, y'all were a good group to start off with. Y'all were. You and your brother.
Yeah,
y'all were all in. Y'all were such sports nuts, and your daddy, of course. It was just great.
Yeah, it's a little backstory for people who don't know. I moved here in seventh grade. I played up on my brother's team, so I didn't get much playing time, but I was decent enough to make the team. And you gave me a compliment one day in the halls of West Rome Junior High. You said, "There's my little big man." So and believe me, I was little, but you gave me a little confidence boost.
Right.
So
you were.
Play with some legends: Mitchell Shelton, Marty Watkins.
I tell you, I see Marty every week almost. Do you ever see him?
No, well, we're friends through Facebook, but Marty's
such a great guy. He's had such a great life, and his wife and everything. And we always talk, and every time I see him, I go, "There's Marty Watkins. Never met a shot he didn't like."
He could jump out of the gym in seventh grade too, eighth grade.
Oh, he could. But, he shot it every time he touched it. And you remember Mitchell Shelton, probably still one of the best shooters I ever coached.
Yeah,
he was a great shooter.
Mitchell was
but
smooth.
He wouldn't shoot it. I had to beg him to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that or not.
Yeah. I do remember you yelling, "Shoot it, Mitch." Yeah, right.
Robert White, wasn't that right? Robert White.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had some studs.
We had some good little guys. I let go one of the best we had. I don't know if you remember, Steve Sanders. And I still regret it to this day.
Yeah.
We were having that practice, and it was early in this. We hadn't even started the season. And, we're running blood and guts. I think we're running, 40 because I was an idiot, And Steve said, "I'm not running anymore." I said, you don't run, you go.
Mm-hmm.
And he left. And that was, and I still to this day. And I see Steve, and I love him. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, I would have handled that a little bit different later on.
I remember that day, and I thought Steve had a bad attitude and he was tired, didn't want to run any more blood and guts. But if you let him back on, you would have lost credibility. So you did the right thing.
No. I agree with all that. I do.
Yeah.
But I probably went at it just building up to that.
Yeah.
I mean, number one, when the older I got, the more practices I did. And we worked out like crazy when I was coaching. And we ran too. But I usually got most of my running during practice. We had a hard 2-hour practice, and that was it, or even less.
Yeah.
But it was 100% all the time.
Yeah.
And Steve probably would have been, I don't know. I thought I was Bobby Knight, and I'm not going to say I calmed down over the years, but I think I learned how to deal with it a little bit better.
Yeah, Steve, what a stud football player, and he is a great guy. One of the things that I thought was, so cool about what you and I endured the last year, how we got to reconnect about a year ago, March, a year ago, March, you had knee replacement surgery. And I saw that on Facebook. So I reached out to you and I peppered you with a million questions because I had my knee replacement surgery in May. And it was really fun for me to be on the other side, coaching you and pumping you up and saying,
no question,
no days off, get your butt doing the rehab.
Every week you would reach out to me. And I meant a lot to me, to be honest with you. I was telling that to Jeff today. I said, you got me through a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
And of course, and I said, you probably did it for 2 weeks and we're back playing tennis. I mean, you were a little stronger probably than me.
Well, and I appreciate it. I got those texts from you. You said, "Are you killing it today?" And I'm like, I better get after it. Coach is on me.
Nah, you were killing it, I'm sure.
Well, it's funny in my research for this, you and I have two other things in common I'm sure that you do not know. I was also a preloader at UPS at 2 a.m.
I did not know that.
Yeah. It was because
how did you know I was a loader of UPS?
I heard, I talked to people, and you enjoyed it a lot more than me, that 2 a.m. shift. But
man, unbelievable.
Yeah, because I was at Truett McConnell. We were on the quarter system. And then when I transferred to Barry, we were also on the quarter system. So we were out from Thanksgiving until January 1st or 2nd. So we did a course at Barry if you wanted to work for UPS as a driver's helper. And I got a call one Saturday night. You can come in tomorrow night at 2 a.m. And they were paying more than the driver's helper. And I was like, shoot, yeah. And so, man, it was hard work, but they required a lot and they paid well. It was great.
Well, I was at that time period. I was played ball at Dalton Junior College, and we had a great team. We were number 2 in the nation. I was not. I always say I was the best 12th man in the country. I mean, and we had All-Americans, guys that went on Division I. We still stay in contact all the time. I mean, great players. One of them's coaching in Belgium. One of them's out in Hawaii, coached at the University of Hawaii. But I was getting married, and I said, I'm too young to get married. So the end of my sophomore year, I kind of quit everything, quit college, boom, left, went Disney World and worked for another year. That's another whole story. But I came back to Rome and I got a job at Belk's downtown. You remember Belk's? Belk Roads, the store. And I worked all day long. Okay. And then I got this, and I was living in some garage apartment with a couple guys and we didn't have any money. So I was going to school at Georgia Highlands or Floyd College then at night. And then I took that job at UPS at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I did that for about 2 months. And then finally I said, I can't do this anymore. UPS. And UPS was a great part-time job. They paid money back.
They did. Yeah.
But anyway,
and you walk around like a zombie. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Of course, you're young. So, I mean, it didn't matter.
Well, the other thing is, you almost stole my thunder. After I graduated high school that summer and then the first winter, I worked at the men's department selling men's sportswear at Belk's.
No, you didn't.
I did. It was brutal.
Was Bob Williams there?
No, it was Boyd Stimson was in charge of the place, and then Steve Stevens was my, I guess.
Okay. What year would that have been? What year would that have been?
Summer of '84.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I worked probably around, I want to say 73 or 74, maybe.
Yeah.
They were a great place to work, though. It was a great place to work.
It was, but my brother was working on Coosa Country Club on the golf course. That would have been, it was harder work, but wearing a tie inside retail.
Oh,
yeah.
You
got to do those jobs.
I worked in the stock room.
Right.
And Mabel, do you remember Miss Mabel? Was she still working?
Mabel. No, I don't remember that name.
Felton was the maintenance guy. He was the black guy back in the back.
Yeah.
And I think he was still there. I don't know if you remember him or not.
No.
But we were back in the back in the stock place.
Yeah, that would have been a decent gig.
And it was a great gig. Now we'd work. The manager there was Mr. Moore at that time.
Yeah.
And he'd always come back to the stock room. Come on, Big A, let's get this stuff out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
he was a real motivator, though. He would just come in, come on.
Right. Well, Mr. Stimson was like 1A, and Mr. Moore would walk around like once every 2 weeks. When he walked around, man, you acted busy.
But he was kind of a motivator. He was kind of a high fiver, and
right.
He's a rah guy. I kind of responded to that a little bit, I kind of like that.
So,
when people didn't know you worked at Bells, didn't know you worked at UPS either. I'm finding out some stuff. So we got a lot in common.
Yeah. So hopefully someday I'll be a Hall of Famer like you. So,
but you already are a Hall of Famer, I'm sure.
Going back, most people call, like today's vernacular, we call someone a gym rat, but you actually were, you were considered a Y rat. So you grew up at the Y playing everything.
Oh, it was the best childhood ever. Yeah. I lived on the corner of 2nd, 8th Street. and we lived right across from the Y. So at 8 years old, I'm going over there. They just had built the new Y.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going over there every day, and everybody in the neighborhood. And in that time, the YMCA was just kind of a kids' Y. Now it's like and they had to. I mean, I get it. I went over there this morning, and it's packed with adults, I
Yeah.
mean,
Right.
but then it was all kids,
Right.
mostly. I mean, we had a free reign of the gym, swimming pool, outdoors. They didn't have that big parking lot. It was all a
Yeah.
baseball field and all that.
Right. Yeah.
And we just, I mean, it was the greatest childhood ever.
Now, what was your first organized sport that you played?
Little League Baseball,
Okay.
which I loved. I mean, if I could have hit a curveball, I don't know if I mean, I loved baseball. I sat in my house for hours just throwing the ball up against the wall and just, but Little League Baseball. And I played in the second grade on up until I got in high school, and a guy named Phil Baker, I don't know if you know
Yeah.
that name.
The runner. Yeah.
And he was also he was a great tennis player. I don't know if you know that. He was one of the greatest athletes I've ever been around. He
Yeah.
took up tennis when he was an adult, won the city county tournament here, and then quit. He doesn't play anymore. Golf, same thing.
Yeah.
One still, and I see him. We go eat lunch about every month, once a month, with a
Nice.
bunch of us, and he's with us. And he's just, he ended my baseball career. He had curveball. It was unbelievable. He played at Georgia 4 years. He was
Okay.
shortstop for there. He was something else. Yeah. But I
Now,
couldn't hit the curveball. I don't know why. I wasn't scared of it. I just couldn't hit it.
I think the curve ended many people's baseball days. So now
How's Rick? Is Rick still coaching?
he's coaching at Franciscan University in Ohio. I'll tell him you said hello.
Still going.
Yeah. And I talked to one of his fellow coaches, and he said, you know what? He goes, man, your brother, he still has that same passion, and he does.
Well, that came from your dad. I mean, your mom too, I'm sure. But your dad, I know we'll get into that later, but he was such a great man to me and to a lot of people.
Right. Well, he thought the world of you too. So growing up, do you remember as a little kid, what was your worst defeat? Was it baseball or basketball? What was the worst defeat you endured?
Well, we played Pepperell, where Phil Baker played. This is Little League, all right? It's a tournament. I mean, nobody beat Pepperell. They had a team that everybody up could hit a home run. They were Lindale was a baseball capital of the world. I mean, that's all they did was baseball. And we were beating them going into the fifth inning, and it started pouring down rain, just pouring down rain. And I mean, stop the game, we win. The guy that was the commissioner of the league, I still say to this day, his name was Mr. Toomey. That's unbelievable. I remember this 10 years ago. He burnt the field off. Okay. I mean, they laid down and burnt the field off, and we ended up playing. Of course, they came back and beat us then. But I still, that still kills me today.
Right. Yeah.
We should have won that. I mean,
right.
Now, it wouldn't have been legitimate, but I would have took it. Okay. Because nobody beat them during those days.
Right.
But they would have called the game if it wasn't for Pepperell.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now,
that was a pretty bad defeat.
In the leagues that you played, all your sporting events, did you get trophies for anything besides first or second place?
Never. We didn't get anything, and now my little granddaughter, we're going over to her house tonight. She's going to bring me a cookie, because she expects that now, And I want to go, how about just be happy that we're coming,
Right.
But I think she's happy because we're bringing a cookie, but,
right. Well,
we didn't get a thing, not one thing,
Yeah.
I don't even remember. I don't even think there was a team trophy. I mean, I'm sure there was a team trophy, but
sure,
it wasn't why we were playing. That's for sure. I mean, I never thought about a trophy. And when I was in high school, I never got a trophy. I mean, I was never MVP. I was never best, whatever. And when I coached, I never gave out an MVP and all that. I gave out a participation, because I just didn't think that you should reward somebody for being part of the team.
Right, exactly. So your greatest victory in high school is winning the state championship at East Rome?
Yep, I would say so. Yeah, that was an awesome night.
Yeah.
And what made that special is that, well, we had worked so hard, and our coach gosh, when we look back, and we have get-togethers every 2 or 3 years, okay?
Really?
Coach comes to, he looks younger than all of us. He was a very young coach then. And when we see him, we all are amazed because he's like he's playing tennis every day, everything. And he's 82, I think. And we're 74, so he wasn't much older than us when he was coaching us. But we were so intimidated by him. But we all worked so hard. It was just an unbelievable year.
Mm-hmm.
But we never thought about winning the state championship.
Right.
It was just kind of a one game at a time type thing. Even when we were playing in the state tournament, we didn't go, "Oh, we're going to win state championship if we win this." We didn't think in those terms.
Right.
And I don't know. Now it didn't hurt that we had a 6'8" number one player in the state of Georgia playing post for us.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, and we had a great point guard that played started for 4 years at Clark College.
Yeah.
And Earl Wilkerson, you remember Earl?
Yeah.
Big Earl, he was our wing player, and I was the other wing player. So
Okay.
we were big. We were very big, all of it.
Wow.
Big Earl could play. He was at Maine High before it closed.
Okay.
And it closed in 1969. And so that's when Earl came over his senior year at East Rome. And he was kind of and he averaged like 28 a game at Maine. But he had to sacrifice a lot. I mean, he didn't, because we were a slow down team. We were very post orientated, and he did. And he was one of the reasons, big reason we won that state championship, because he did buy in,
Right.
We still talk, and he passed away a few years ago, but we still lift one to him every time we meet. So he was a big part of that.
That reminds me of the Celtics when Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen joined Paul Pierce, that everybody said they could never play together, but they sacrificed and became a great team. Yeah.
That's what you got to do. And you know that. You know that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to be the big dog, then you're not going to win. I mean, it's not. What's the story? What's Bill Simmons? Do you ever read any Bill Simmons?
Yeah, he's good. His podcast is good. He's a big Celtic
he's got a great podcast, but he also, the book of basketball. I don't know if you ever read that.
Okay.
I'd suggest that you read that. It's a great book, but it just, and again, it makes sense. But he compares Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, while Bill Russell had it and Wilt Chamberlain didn't have that.
Yeah.
Okay. And the it is that Bill Russell didn't care about himself. He cared about his team.
Yeah. He won.
And Wilt was wanting to score 100 points. I mean, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that's a big thing. I mean, to me, it's not about how many you get. It's how you help the team.
Well, you mentioned baseball earlier, and that brings me to something that you can be 4 for 4 and hit 4 home runs if your team loses. That kind of stinks.
Well, it sucks. Now, it's a great accomplishment, but it would really suck if you're a competitor.
I want to win. Yeah.
I want to win. That's all I cared about. I just wanted to win.
Yeah. That should be a great case study, because, I mean, you talk about an offensive player. Wilt Chamberlain's probably top 5 ever when you look at what he did, scoring 100 points, and and Bill Russell owned him. That tells you about him.
Again, Bill had some pretty good players with him, too. I mean, and I was a Wilt Chamberlain fan. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, he was something else. And, people say, "Oh, he couldn't play today." And I said, yeah, he could. He was an athlete. Now.
Yeah.
And, but Wilt didn't really, at the end of it, it's kind of like the story I was told one day. I bet after a game, Wilt probably put his clothes on, went out partying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Win or lose.
Yeah.
But Bill Russell, I bet if he lost, it didn't sit very well with him.
Yeah.
And an old coach told me, because it killed me when I lost. And when I was in high school, I hated losing.
Yeah.
But a coach told me when I started coaching, and I'd get so upset because my players were on the bus, maybe, after we got beaten, they're just automatically talking, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And that got to me. And again, as days went, as I got older, you have to realize. But he told me, he said, you got to realize that your players don't care as much as you do. I mean, and he said, and if you get 5 that do care as much as you do, then you're going to win championships,
Wow.
And that's the truth. I mean, there's most kids, and again, I'm not saying it's wrong, but they can forget about it and go on.
Yeah.
I wasn't one of those kids. You weren't either.
No, and my brother has mentioned that some of these college kids he coaches today, it's like that. Oh, they're on the baseball team. And I'd tell you something interesting. When the Georgia Tech women's coach, was speaking, tennis coach, at a seminar that I attended, and he had a conversation with the men's tennis coach, and he said, and it might have changed. I don't know if it's changed now, but he said most of the women tennis players were happy just to be known as a Georgia Tech tennis player, where the
Yeah.
guys would get their identity based on winning. And so they were hitting after practice, and at night they wanted to win.
Right.
If you didn't win, it wasn't anything. Who cares if you're on the team? But
Well, that's kind of right.
this leads me to a question I have for you. You've coached men, you coached us in junior high, and I do want to give you a shout out. Thank you for wearing that Westrom Chieftain green jersey. I appreciate that.
For you, man.
There you
and
go.
And the St. Louis hat, too,
Yeah,
because I know you in Pittsburgh are
a little jab to my
brother.
Pirates, but that's okay. But you coached us at Westrom Junior High for 2 years, and then you were assistant girls coach at Alabama for a couple years. When you came back, it broke my heart that you went to East Rome to be head coach, but I get it. You went there because East and West, we went like this.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, we respected each other. It was that private school in purple, I think all of us wanted to be.
That was always,
a different story. So,
but we didn't really play them that much back in those days.
Yeah, maybe once
a year. But we did. I take that back. Now, when I played, we didn't play them. They were one of the. I mean, they were private league, but they were also what you call prep league school. I mean, they played at prep league. But then when I was coaching at East Rome, it was huge rivalry. I mean, they had some players.
Yeah.
Chris Jess, you remember Chris?
Oh,
Jess?
yeah. Yep.
Osmond.
Mike Rowan. Yeah. They had some players.
Mike Rowan.
Yeah.
He was something else, too.
Yeah.
But, that was a big rivalry. But go ahead. I'm interrupting.
Well, no, that's fine. And then you coached the model girls, and you coached, I don't know, that was your biggest coaching stint. You've coached the girls probably longer than you coach boys. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I came back to model and coached the boys team in the late 2000s. I mean, 2008 to 2012. They lost their coach right before the season started, and they called me. I was at my girls, had gotten of age when about 1998 at model.
Mm-hmm.
I was spending more time with other people's kids than I was my kids. So, and they were starting to get an interest in playing stuff. And so I got out of coaching altogether and went to elementary school at Johnson Elementary. And then started coaching my girls' teams from soccer, basketball, on till they were in the 7th grade. And then model came and said, "Can you coach the boys' team?" So I did go back. And so coached them for 4 more years.
So what is the biggest difference coaching girls and boys in high school?
That's a good question. At first I said there's no difference when I first started coaching. But there is. Girls were more, they bought in more. Okay? They were more family, more. I mean, we'd go on trips together. We'd have team parties. And they loved being together. I mean, it was a family type thing. Now, on the other side of that, you also, if a girl had a fight with somebody at practice, as a boy, y'all might be laughing back in the locker room in the shower. Well, a girl 6 years later might still be there. You know what I'm saying?
I gotcha.
They didn't let it go as much, but they were more together. Sometimes hard to coach because it's a little bit more emotional at times.
Mm-hmm.
But they were all in. I mean, and I had a great group of girls at model. I mean, they were unbelievable. And a lot of them are still coaching today. And they, I mean, unbelievable coach. The girl that's coaching there now, I coached her in the 90s, and she's the most successful coach probably ever in North Georgia. She's already won over 400 and something games. She'll probably get 500 this year. And she's young. I mean, she's 40s.
Now that's Sally. What's her name?
Sally Eccles now.
Okay, Sally Eccles. Okay, right.
But that was, now I missed it a little bit because, boys, you play above the rim a little bit more. You know what I mean? It's and a lot of times boys will, like a girl, when you're coaching, they'll do it. They'll listen. They'll go. Boys sometimes, not all boys, of course, but some will go, "I already know how to do that. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that."
Yeah.
I really, the boys teams I did coach, though, were really unbelievable. I loved them. And I still like it. East Rome, Tim Garrett, Travis Carter, and all that group. They were unbelievable. I mean, I still in contact with them, and they're just they were so talented. And West Rome was talented. I mean, but I really hated when I went to East Rome and came back. Most of those guys weren't playing anymore from the people I coached.
Yeah.
because they probably didn't play football.
Right. Yeah. That's tough.
And that was one of the reasons I left. I
Yeah.
mean, that wasn't all of it, of course.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you from a coaching perspective. I talked to a couple college soccer coaches years ago, and I've watched this. I've been around professional men's tennis, professional ladies tennis, talked to high-level girls basketball players and coaches that women, one of the college soccer player or coaches said he would rather coach women than men. I said, "Why is that?" And he said, "Women execute plays better, whereas men have the physical. You could have," and he mentioned one of the Nigerian men's soccer players at Barry, who was unbelievable. He said, "Not every team has that, but when you have that, that's different. But the girls would actually execute strategically." And
Oh,
I've,
well, no question, no
yeah,
question.
I've
But
noticed
that's
girls.
to a fault too sometimes. That's to a
Okay.
fault too sometimes because, it's like you working out of bounds play, okay? You're working an out of bounds play to get open and score. But they might be open and not throw the ball to them because that wasn't part of
The
the
script.
play.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, there's a difference there. Now,
Okay.
and guys, you work and you do fundamentals all the time. And I was a very fundamental coach, and you know that. That's all I worked on all the way through my whole career. I mean, we fundamental. I was not a great offensive coach. I never thought I was. I thought I was a good defensive coach and a very good fundamental coach. But you teach it blocking out, blah blah blah, and there might be somebody that just goes over you and
Mm-hmm.
gets whether you block out or not. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I
Yeah.
mean,
What do you do with
sometimes,
that? Right.
yeah, I mean, that kind of comes in. I mean, you got to deal with that too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's right about the girls.
Yeah.
Lot more fundamental. Kind of remind me a little bit more of like a European basketball player. They're all fundamental.
Yeah.
They're a
Yeah.
lot more fundamental than American players
Yeah.
are.
Do you think I've noticed this from where I went to junior college and the girls basketball team, they were great. And then I went to Barry and those girls were also very good. And then I noticed this on the tennis court. One of my friends was hit with the number 6 player in the world. And I asked him about,
Huh.
how would you beat her? And he said, well, you better attack her. You don't want to out rally with them because you're not. That girls tend to be a little bit more accurate where guys are more explosive. Do you find that to be the case?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but I mean, I've coached some girls that were pretty explosive too. But I mean, there's no question the guys were a lot more. Um, I guess. I mean, I don't want to say more athletic, but they maybe could do a little bit more
Yeah.
athletically.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, if you
um,
can get above the rim and somebody can't get above
right.
the rim, there's a difference.
Right. I mean, we
It's
ran
a
out
different
of
game.
bounds play, that we would throw the ball up around the rim and a guy would go dunk. I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
That's kind of fun.
That's not much of a play, but I mean,
Yeah. If you can
he
do
can
it.
do it. So
Yeah.
we do it.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of like Mitchell Shelton. You don't remember this. We're playing a game and we're down by one. And it came over, it's about 20 seconds to go. And here's great coaching. I said, Mitchell, score. I said, everybody spread out. Mitchell, take him, you know. And he did, I mean,
Attaboy.
he
Good
was,
job. Ha
yeah. But both of them were fun. Both have a lot of good things and different things. But I enjoyed my years coaching. I mean,
Yeah.
whether it was girls or boys.
Sure. Well, I want to give you a compliment. I'm not sure that if you remember this, but you were actually at our house one time and you had dinner. I think my parents were doing
I
some
remember that.
they're trying to do some matchmaking. But anyway, one of the things that my dad said that he was so impressed, and I think my mom said that she heard the same conversation, that you were a history teacher and you were a teacher first, and then
That's
you were
right.
a coach.
That's
So,
right. That's right.
so I want to
I
go
was
ahead.
I had a friend of mine that we both started off together. And he called me one day. He said, they want me to teach. I said, that's what you're hired for. But, I mean, coaching is the.
Yeah.
But anyway, I enjoyed that part of it too.
You also mentioned, and this is why I thought you were a good coach. There's a quote that you have that you value the relationships with teammates and players far beyond any accolades, and that's the reason why you coach. You told me you coached your daughters. How special was that, coaching them in soccer and in basketball?
It was great. And it's funny, my daughter now is coaching her daughter
Oh
in
wow!
soccer. Now she's just 4 years old, so it's not what you call, real.
Yeah,
It's everybody's bunched up just having fun.
I bet she'll get a
She asked
trophy
me,
though.
I get medal.
Yeah.
I see them now where they're getting rings. I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
for second place, and they're getting a ring. I mean, that shouldn't be why they're doing it. Anyway, she asked me one day, she said, Daddy, did I talk back to you when we were playing? I mean, no, was I hard? And I said, yeah, you were sometimes, because a daddy coaching their kids, you know how that could be.
Yeah.
You're harder probably on them than you are on everybody else.
Sure.
And it was the greatest experience I ever did. I mean, I'll be honest with you, more than anything I ever coached. It was the group we got together when they were 5 years old. They were still together when they were seniors in high school, and they had a great team. And four of them went on to play college ball. Both my daughters played at North Georgia. One of them only played 1 year because she was in love, so she transferred to Georgia. And the other one, she went on and played 4 years. So, but yeah, just play. And now again, could we butt heads? Yeah, I mean, but it was great. Like I did soccer for them for 4 years, and then I did basketball up until about 6th, 7th grade.
Nice.
And then I was fortunate that I knew the model coaches. And I knew how good they were. So I just let them go. And I tried not to interfere with anything after that. Okay. But then I started coaching when they were in the 8th grade. I became the head coach of the boys team. So they played all my coaching career model right before us. So as Stacy would tell me, my wife said, we don't have a very happy household if we lose.
Yeah, both teams lose, right?
If they win,
Yeah.
We were in the Christmas tournament. You know how big that is in Rome. And playing in the downtown, what is it called? The Forum, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the only time they'd ever played there. And it was great atmosphere. And they won it. I mean, they won in a real close game versus Rome. And gosh, I was so fired. And we were playing a championship game right after them, but I couldn't even talk to the players. We were up on the balcony looking.
That's awesome.
But we went and got beaten overtime.
Okay.
And so we're all going out to eat. My assistant coach with us, and he's just sick, oh, God. And I said, can't be sick at this table, baby.
Suck it up, right?
We got to, that's a hard thing to do, but it was never, as I always said, it's hard that your whole happiness depends on 16-year-olds. You know what I mean? Your whole, whether you're going to be happy or not, is dependent on teenagers.
Well, at least you're right there. I mean, a lot of us as sports fans, when our professional team loses, we're down in the dumps till the next day.
Oh, yeah. So, no question.
As a young coach, who were some of the coaches that you looked up to or tried to emulate your style from?
Well, at first, my high school coach, okay, he was a great coach. He went on and he coached at Clemson, assistant coach at Clemson for years. They also were together. They were at UNCC for a couple of years, and they went to Clemson for 10 years. He was under Bill Foster, who was a great coach at Shorter, who went on. And they had a great career, but he was a very stoic guy. You know what I mean? He never yelled. He never, it was real. And I tried to be that at first. And I decided finally I can't do that. You know how I was. I mean, I was pretty emotional, I think. That's the way I liked it. I was more of a rah, let's go.
Yeah.
And he was not. But I emulated him. He was a great fundamental coach. And the guy I coached at junior college, who I probably shouldn't have played there because I was not that kind of player. When we scored 100 and something a game, that was our average.
Wow.
I mean, I don't even think we ran a play, to be honest with you. I mean, he used to say, if you don't, and this was before the shot clock, he'd say, if you don't shoot it within 20 seconds, give it to him. It was pretty wild. I mean, but now we won. We were like number 2 in the nation, blah, blah, blah. But I learned also there are other ways to play. In high school, it's more of a slow down. We're going to get this, blah. This guy was running a gun. We didn't. I don't even remember what kind of play we had. If any, it was a run and gun. But I did learn from that, that you can have. But at first, I wasn't coaching like that. I think we were more, walking down the court, blah, blah, blah. But,
yeah.
But then, of course, the college coach at that time, Bobby Knight was.
Right.
I mean, his philosophy on defense was unbelievable. I heard him speak 2 or 3 times. Went to some of his clinics, read his books. And now, at his later stages, I think he went overboard.
Sure.
But man, he was something else.
Yeah.
He was just something. I think a lot of stuff he did, just as a player, this. He's funny. I mean, he's funny. I mean, I know people don't get that sometimes.
Yeah.
But he can make wisecracks like crazy.
Right.
To a player and tell them how worthless they are, but he's really fun. I mean, I don't know. Everybody's laughing really if you're at practice. I don't know. But I was with a coach at Georgia Highlands. I did assistant job there one year, and he was so good, but he jumped that tail. But he would make it in a way where, I mean, they loved him. I mean, they laughed at him, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I don't think I was ever a berater. I don't think I ever berated anybody.
Yeah.
I didn't really believe in that too much.
How many career technicals did you ever ring up? Do you know?
I have no idea, but I don't think it's as many as people think I had. Okay. I did have a few this year, but I only ever got 2 tackles in a game. That was my last year coaching at Model. First game of the year, we're ranked number 1 in the state. We're playing the number 2 team in the state ranked. Packed house, great game. Larry Shepard, you remember Larry? The referee?
Okay.
Oh, great referee, but he was also, he thought, a little bit of himself. But I like him. He liked me, but I mean, he was always looking at me sternly. He called one on me, and then I said something, and I went back in my huddle, and he came walking over there, and I said, no, don't come over here,
Right.
Boop, and he threw me out.
He rung you up again.
Yeah. So it was the first game of the year. I think he thought, well, I'm going to show these guys that we're not going to have any of that this year. So that's the only time I ever got thrown out.
What's he doing in your huddle?
I think I was being nice, but I guess I wasn't.
Wow. Well, you mentioned your coach.
I'm sure I deserved it. I mean, I'm trying to blame it on him, but I probably deserve it.
Well, if you're going to get tossed, you might as well deserve it, right?
Yeah, but I didn't get tossed for anything. I never cussed anybody. I never did that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? I'm sure I wasn't the sweetest thing in the world either.
Yeah. Well, I do remember, your coaching style. And if somebody said, what's it like playing 7th grade for Coach Aiken? I thought you were demanding in a firm way, and I thought you were fair. I remember, I came from a college camp in Pennsylvania where the Hustle Award was 1 and the best defensive player was 2, and I took pride in winning the defensive player one year, and it was man-to-man defense. You're like,
there you go.
You're like, I remember you saying, get in his jock. I want to know what type of bubble gum he's chewing, and and I remember, we'd press and to take the charge, you would get more fired up than any beautiful jump shot anybody hit.
Well,
I love that.
That's what I loved. I did. I think it's because I was that kind of player.
Okay.
I was not the pretty. I mean, I didn't score 20 points a game. I didn't do any of that. My thoughts were winning and defense. I always told y'all, and I think I told every player, not everybody can be a great scorer, but you can play defense.
Yeah.
I mean, you can always play defense.
That's true. Hey, I forgot to ask you, your daughter that played at North Georgia, did she play for Buffy Burson?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
She played for Buffy.
Buffy was a freshman when I was a sophomore at Troop McConnell, so I've known
Oh, really?
her. Yeah,
really?
She's a tough player, too.
Well, she's Hall of
Fame
Fame now. She's won over 600 or 700 games. I mean, she's still coaching, still there.
All right.
Doing her thing.
You and I were talking about one of our conversations last year about part of this is to find out what kids can do to become tougher. Who were some professional or college players that you mentioned that the great ones want to be coached and they want to be pushed? Who would be a player, all-time player, college pro, men or women, that you would love to have coached? Somebody super intense.
That's a good question. I don't know. I've never really thought about that. I would love to have coached Kareem. I just think Kareem might have been, to me, you hear all those GOAT stories, everybody's a GOAT. I think he's the GOAT of anybody.
Who stops that skyhook, right?
But skyhook, plus he won, 3 state championships, 4 state championships in high school, 3 in college, would have been 4.
Yeah.
Then 6 NBA championships. I mean, MVPs.
He's up there.
I mean, again, he was said to be lazy, but he wasn't lazy.
Yeah.
You don't win that much. You're not lazy.
Yeah.
But Huh, that's a great question. I really don't know.
How about Kevin Garnett? Would you have loved to coach him?
Yeah, Kevin Garnett would have been a pretty good one too now.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good defensive
That
guy too.
intensity, yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the intensity was there, yeah.
Yeah.
But with that whole '80s group, when you think about it, like, I mean, he was a little bit later, but like Bird and all them,
Yeah.
they were a pretty intense group of people. I mean, of course, you go back further, Walt Frazier, he was a great defensive player back in the day. I say back in the day. Now my little granddaughter's going back in the day. I said, "Uh-oh."
So is there
Yeah, I don't really know. I never really thought about that.
that's okay. It's just one of those, barroom discussions and, I
Of
remember
course,
Doc.
Bird, I would like to have Bird and Magic on my team.
All right.
I mean,
Okay, we talk about
because
also
they were winners. They were winners. I
right.
don't care what anybody says. They were just winners.
Yeah.
People will say something about Magic. Magic was a winner, man. I mean, he wasn't the greatest shooter ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he did things to win with his team.
He helped his teammates better, right? So that's a fun discussion. Let's go to the bar and have a cold one and just say, I don't like to say who's the best player ever in a team sport. I don't think that gives us justice. Like if you want to argue centers and point guards and all that, but in my world, I was talking to some guys a couple weeks ago. I said, listen, I start with Magic, Michael, Larry, and then we're going to find two other players. Put Kareem in there, and then maybe Kevin Garnett play some sick defense.
But that's our era now a little bit, okay? Now, my era was, Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson, Bill Russell, those guys.
That's
John
good starting
Havlicek.
3, 4, yeah.
That's pretty good starting.
Yeah.
I mean, they were pretty tough. But as the 80s was, to me, the most fun, the 80s, late 80s and 90s, I mean, Jordan, ain't nobody better than Jordan. I don't care. LeBron doesn't. Right? To me, LeBron's not even close. I hate to say that. But of course, I know everybody arguing. Now, LeBron's a beast. I mean, but I think Jordan, every time he played, he was just, I don't know. There's something about him.
Yeah.
I saw him one time, Rob. I went to a ball game and the policeman on the court, he was in college then, was Mike McClintock, who played ball with me in high school. And he said, come on down. So I got on the court with him, and North Carolina was walking out. And Jordan walked out. And again, this is a college kid now. He looked like a stallion walking. I mean, he didn't even look like he was touching the ground. I mean, he was just, I went, oh my God, and that was before Jordan was Jordan. I mean, of course, he was great in college, but you didn't know really how great he was.
Right.
What's that story? Dean Smith's the only one that could stop Michael Jordan.
Under 20 points, right? Yeah. That's before the shot clock, right? No, so when...
Oh, yeah, that was four corners. The whole, and, I was a big four guy. I always thought that if you control tempo of a game, you're going to win. Number one rebound, I always thought, but tempo had a lot to do with it because you went on runs in basketball games, you're going on a big run, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times, if you can stop the other team from going on a big run, then you're okay, But if I thought things were going wrong, I might slow it down a little bit. I just think you control tempo, and you don't see that as much anymore. People can't control tempo anymore. I see kids don't really understand tempo or the time and clock. I mean, the clock and when to shoot. They might be, 10 seconds, 20 seconds to go in a quarter. And another, Larry Bing, you remember Larry Bing?
Mm-hmm.
Coach, the great coach, Kusin. But we go to games and you'll see it with 20 seconds to go, kid comes down, jacks it up. And then the other team, of course, rebounds. They go down, they score and get fouled. Right. Well, that's 2 points in a foul that you could not have if you'd have just took the last shot. I mean, but they know that's coaching too now, I think. But
did you change any of your offenses geared towards a three-pointer?
Well, not really. The three-pointer really became more prevalent, I guess, the last couple of years that I coached in the 90s. Okay. I mean, it had been there. When did it come into high school? I'm trying to think. Well, it had been there since the 80s. So yeah. But I mean, we shot the three-pointer, but I was always a post-oriented coach. And I still believe in the post playing, but you don't see as much post playing now as you used to. Now, my last couple of years, I did more three-point, did the 5 out, the whole,
right.
and But I laugh sometimes with Sally Eccles and them now. I probably couldn't coach today. She said you couldn't coach because these kids are, they don't listen as well. I said, well, I don't
Yeah,
know about
well,
that.
they'll find a way to listen, right?
Always the people will say that these kids are different, blah, but they're no different than
No,
the 70s to right now. Okay. They'll do what you expect them to do. That's my theory.
right. And you can't change what you tolerate, and I think they tolerate too much
No,
or yeah.
exactly. And if you can't do that, then I think you're in trouble. I had one philosophy, Now, again, I mean, we always adjust from here to there, blah, blah, blah. But I had a set of things that I always went by and believed in. That didn't ever change.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Well, you have a quote that says kids want to be held accountable. That's what they want, and they needed to be held
exactly.
accountable.
Exactly. And I mean, if you do that, then you're going to be all right, you
Yeah.
know? And I kind of like what you said a minute ago. I said I never played favorites. I mean, if I had some parent arguing with me about something, I go, look, you may disagree, but I'm playing who I think is best for our team.
Right.
Might not be the best player, but I'm gonna play who's best for our team.
Right.
You know, but
Yeah.
um, and had rules. If you didn't do rules, you
Right.
know, you didn't
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, part of life is dealing with adversity, and it's something that you and I both dealt with. Probably one of the biggest losses we've ever dealt with. The date, July 25th, 1990. Your best buddy, your roommate, Coach Ellenberg.
yeah, yeah. Still hurts me to this day to even. I mean, I love talking about him because people don't know who he is now, and I hate that. You
Yeah.
know, and I remember that day. It just still kills me to this day. Tony Engel, you know that name?
No.
Tony Engel was a coach at Kennesaw State when they won the national championship.
Okay.
Okay. He was also the coach at Dalton State when they won the national champion in basketball. And he played with me at Dalton Jr. And he coached at Brigham Young for 10 years as assistant coach. And he came in, and when he was at Brigham Young, he came into East. I was trying to think, was I coaching? I was not coaching. I was out of coaching for that 1 year. But Tony Woods, do you remember that name, Tony Woods?
No.
Great player. He started at Brigham Young later on. But I told him about him, and so he flew in, and we went to the courts in North Rome to watch Tony play. And Tony was a great player, and signed him as a matter of fact, and started as a freshman. Brigham Young was top 10 then.
Yeah.
BYU was top 10. But anyway, Tony was with me, and we went back to my house, and that was maybe my second year of marriage, I think. Yeah. And, then you have cell phones or anything, but my phone was just ringing off the hook. And the other best friend of mine, his name was Doug Reese. He's an optometrist in town. We all played tennis every night. We did stuff. They said, he's gone, man. I said, what? Where'd he go? He's gone. I said, what do you mean? Where'd he go? And he said, he's dead. And I mean, it killed me. Just killed me.
Yeah.
Killed me. And yeah, probably best friend I ever had. He was he was something special.
Yeah. I was working in my only corporate job at the time, and I got a phone call, and everybody didn't have computers on your desk. It was like the one computer in the office, and I was working on it.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody said, "Rob, your dad's on the phone." I picked it up, and they said he's on the computer, and my dad said to me, I remember this conversation. He said, "What are you being, some computer geek? Who are you kidding?" Right? And so I laughed, and he said, "I got some bad news for you, bud." And he said, "Dwight Ellenburg was killed last night." And I say, "What?" And he told me that, and I didn't know what to say. And he said, "I'm so sorry to tell you this," and then he let me go. I went back in the bathroom. I shook for about, I
Me
don't know,
too.
5-10 minutes. And then it's funny you mentioned Doug Reeves, his ex-wife Candy.
Oh, yeah. I
Okay.
love her. She was great.
Probably 95, 96. There's a ladies tennis team on Wednesday evening that I'm coaching. And after Coach Ellenberg passed away, I put his initials, DE, on the outside of my right shoe to this day.
I remember that. Yeah.
And people ask me all the time, and it's like, I'm really happy to tell them this guy was my coach, and he was only 35. Right. And anyway, one lady asked me this one night, and this is that God's around us all the time. And she said, "Hey, what is that DE you have on your right shoe?" And I said, "Well, it's for my junior high PE coach. He coached me in tennis. He coached me in JV basketball." And Candy was a few feet away. and she only heard part of the conversation. She said, "What'd you just say?" I said,
Mm.
"Well, it was my coach, Dwight Ellenburg." And
It gives me chills.
she gasps, right? She said, "Rob, he was at our house getting water before they lived on Mount Alto. He got
Right.
water,
It
and then
wasn't far from where he.
yeah." And for people that don't know, he was on I guess, 10-speed. He was probably only one of 2 or 3 people that could ride a 10-speed up and down Mount Alto.
And over the Mount Alto, too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
And then a car was coming the other way, and the story I
It
heard,
wasn't their fault.
no,
They really,
yeah, he got over and hit some gravel and then flipped over and snapped his neck. And it's like,
yeah, unbelievable.
yeah.
Unbelievable.
I remember talking to Lori Richardson at the and I saw you at the viewing, and like, Coach looks like he's sleeping in that casket. He doesn't look like he's hurt. You know, I mean, wow, what an overachiever too.
You know, and what you said right then, that's better. But what you said right then about didn't look like it, you know, I went to the hospital and he was down in the morgue already. And of course, you're not supposed to go in the morgue, but I knew the guy that was in charge of it then. And he said, "Come on back." And me and Tony was with me the whole time. Thank God. He helped me through it. He didn't know Dwight, but he, you know, and we walked back there and I kept looking, and he was in the hallway, you know, just laying on the thing. And I mean, it just kills me to this day. And he didn't look dead. He looked, you know, perfect.
Yeah.
There's nobody like Dwight Ellenburg.
Yeah.
I mean, I got so many Dwight Ellenburg stories. It's just unbelievable. Not all of them. I mean, but he was a worker, man. He'd stay up at 2:00 in the morning for PE classes, you know, getting that ready.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's just, he was the most I mean, he would just get after it.
A ball of energy, right?
Yeah. All the time.
Yeah.
But, you know, funny, we would go out, you know, we were young. We'd go out at night and we'd go to some place and, you know, none of us, we weren't married, you know. We'd come up to a girl and Dwight would, he would have his little hat on, you know, his little hat he had on. He'd go, Coach Ellenburg, Western Junior High. Shut up. Shut up, man. He didn't have that's not a real good pickup line, you know. But he was the hardest working guy I've ever seen.
Right.
He just was God. There's just we lived together for 6 years on and off, you know.
Right.
And he came down to Alabama when I was coaching there, and he said, "I could beat anybody out here." And I said, "No, you can't." You know, and you know how he was.
I could hear him saying that.
You know, and we scrimmaged that day, and he was out there scrimmaging with him.
Yeah.
And they were killing him. They were just killing him. And he wasn't, you know, he never went, you know, halfway on me.
Yeah.
He was trying to take charges.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
We played remember we played the Atlanta Falcons? I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. They played the
in
teachers.
The Western game.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Well, he had a concussion that game. I don't know if you remember that. He took a charge. Of Russ Francis. His head was bouncing on the floor. And I said, "What are you doing?" You know, because you're not supposed to, you know.
Yeah. Draw the charge, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. And same thing with Ray Dawson. You remember that?
Yeah. You know, big guy played for the Colts. You know, right.
Coach for what, 20 years or something?
Yeah.
Well, we played in 3-on-3 at the Y. He played in 3-on-3 league. Well, Dwight had a jump ball with him. You know, Dwight's 5'1" or 2, you know. Right. Ray's got him on. Well, Dwight wouldn't let go of the ball. You know how you get, you know. Well, don't Ray just, you know, pulled it away and broke Dwight's wrist. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Just let go, man.
Yeah.
But he was something. We played tennis about 3 or 4 nights a week. We were just.
And it became a good tennis player too. My dad said that guy worked at everything. Exactly.
We played marathons, you know, because I was more of a hit and come to the net.
Yeah.
And he was just getting them back. I mean, he was
and just run because he could run.
And just run. Yeah. And you had to be patient with him because he was not. You wouldn't just because he was just we'd play marathon games, you know, because of him. You know, and I never really played much after that.
Yeah, I understand.
Never did. And that's strange because I loved playing. I played all the time.
Yeah.
But when he died, the game I just didn't want to play anymore.
No.
And I don't think I played much after that.
I get that. I mean, I remember playing basketball at the Y. Like our team played your team. I played for Smith Real Estate, and
that might have been my last game.
Man, you and I went at it. But anyway, I remember I'm playing point, and Coach gets down like Chris Corchiati slapping the floor like, come on, Carver, I taught you everything you know.
And your daddy was referee.
He was, yeah. That was an epic night.
He was
yeah.
referee.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember it now. We were on the free throw line.
Talking
and
smack.
We were jabbing away smack. And I got home that night. I don't know if you remember, but I called you and apologized. I said, man, and I didn't play much. I was like 49 years old, dude.
Yeah.
And
I just got,
what are you doing?
No, because I mean, we went at it like older brother, younger brother.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no question.
Yeah. And both teams were pretty good. But, you know, like in the summer, I remember with one of my tennis buddies from junior college, he was, we were doing the tennis camp up at Barry, and it was a weekend night, and 2 or 3 of us are sitting there splitting a pitcher of beer, and Coach Ellenberg came in. He was looking for his buddies. He sat down, and I mean, you became friends like you and I are. And it's like,
yeah.
I mean, we played, there's an Optimist tennis tournament up in Somerville, and they gave big trophies. I remember playing it one year. And I was playing open division. Coach Ellenberg's playing like the 4 or 5 level. And we were both sitting under a tree waiting for the 2 o'clock time to start the finals. And he's like, I'll go get mine, you go get yours. And then the next year after he passed away, I was in the finals again. And I remember driving home thinking, this sucks. I got a trophy, but I sure wish it was last year and Coach Ellenberg was still around. You know, it's just.
Yeah, I know.
Man,
it's
unbelievable.
Oh, that reminds me when we played in state championship in, team tennis.
Yeah.
One year. And we were down in Macon. I was playing number 1, he was playing number 2. And it came down to our matches. Okay. And I was playing my guy really good. He was a great player. He really was. And Dwight was, how he plays. I mean, he's going all out. But he got beat, and then it just drained me. It didn't matter then because they won. So I didn't really, I guess. But sheesh, he would never quit. He just wouldn't quit. There's no quit in him at all. He'd just fight you to the end.
Yeah.
And he was really, he had to take over West Rome that year. I don't know if you remember one of those years. He had the region championship game, I believe it was. When was it Billy that was coaching then? I'm trying to think. I don't know if you were. But something happened. He couldn't coach. He got sick or something. So they got Dwight to coach in the championship game. And I mean, he called me and I was just trying to, you're going to be all right. And he was. Dwight was a good coach, whatever it was.
Right.
He was going to do the work, of whatever it was. He could have coached wrestling if he had to. I mean, he would have read every book and done, it still surprises me. He was a big Georgia Tech fan, but he graduated from Georgia. He did not like Georgia.
Yeah.
He was a Georgia Tech fan. I'm like, what are you doing?
Well, he's a fan of the Falcons and the Braves and
Oh, yeah. Oh,
we
just had a blast. We did.
I'll never forget. It was the 14 under city championship. And we had a good team with James Penn and Alex Andrews, Mike Hyde, Mike Nichols. We had a good team. And I'll never forget, he'd put he could look at you with those eyes and that intensity. And I'll never forget, he put our hands in the huddle. And I remember looking down, seeing his tan hand. And he looked around, he goes, not today. Not today. That's all he said. Man, it was just like, we won it, baby. And it was like, it's on.
I love it.
But I could still hear it in that intensity. Hey, Carver, go in there and I want you to get Hyde over here. And you do, it's like, oh my gosh. He was so great.
He was so
And then he put like 15 people in his little car.
Oh, yeah.
And take everybody home.
Me and him, we got in trouble. And that was that first year coaching. Most of our kids lived in South Rome.
Right.
And we'd take them home almost every night.
Yeah.
Well, one night we all went to a ball game, the high school game. And so we were going to take them all home. Of course, we practiced late too. You remember, we didn't get out of practice a lot of times till 7, whatever.
Yeah.
And, but we loaded up in my Volkswagen and, he had that little old car too. And but we let some of them out in West Rome or something. And we had to put everybody in one car. Well, we had 3 of them in the trunk. I mean, now we were just going to ride over to West Rome. I think you know what it was. We were going to ride over to where our apartment was. And I was going to get my car and then take,
Yeah.
but we couldn't fit everybody, so we had 3 in the trunk, and, of course, we told them, "P keep your heads down, blah, blah, blah." Of course, they didn't do that. They had the trunk, "Hey, everybody," and, of course, the police stopped us, took us to the police station,
Oh, my.
and then they started questioning us about, "What are you doing with all these young boys?" And we're like, "We coach them. We're trying to
Take
get
it
them home,
home. Yeah.
blah, blah." And they were real, and Mr. Burrell came down there, bless his heart and his soul, I love him. But he came down there and he blessed them out, the police. He said, "These young men are trying to get these boys
Oh,
home.
wow.
Nobody else is gonna get them home.
Yeah.
Parents aren't coming to get them,
Yeah.
and you got them down here." I mean, he took our side. I love him to this day for
Yeah.
that.
He was a great man.
He was a great man.
Wow.
He
Good principal.
used to, when I first took that job at West Rome, when I first came into his office and met him, he said, "Mr. Doyle Andrew Moore Aiken." That's my full name.
Okay.
And he kind of shook me a little bit. He said, "Oh yeah, I remember you making the first basketball goal in the state championship game. Y'all had them 8-0 right off the bat." And I said, "Mr. Brown, how do you remember all that?" And he said, "I was right there. I followed y'all every game,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
probably how I got the job. I don't know,
How about that?
But every time we'd have like a planning day or something, he would just get on the intercom, "Mr. Doyle Andrew Moray, can please come to the office."
Everybody's like, "Who's that?" Yeah.
He was a trip. And I went to see him when he was dying. I mean, he was 95 years old. And I went to his house, and his wife, who was also 90 something, she said, "And he's probably not going to remember you at all." And I promise you, this is true. I went into his room and he went, "Mr. Doyle Andrew
No
Moore."
kidding.
And
How
I was
great
like,
is that?
oh, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we had the best time at West Rome Junior High. That was a great
Yeah.
staff, and Dwight was
the best. Yeah. Such a great encourager. And then to see all your buddies at his funeral, it's like, whew,
yeah,
man, what an impact, And
yeah,
it's like
he had a big,
great influence for 35 years. He lived a great 35.
he did, and it's just amazing to me that he died that long ago, that he was just 35 years old.
Exactly.
And, I'm 74, and I wonder a lot of times, what would he be doing today? He would have been a doctor. I mean, he was working on his doctorate at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he worked he had his 6-year, and that was really before everybody got their 6 years. He had his 6-year degree.
Are you familiar with David Goggins?
David Goggins. Where do I know that name?
You'll know. He's the Navy SEAL that, "You don't know me, son."
Yes. Okay.
Okay. That's Dwight, baby.
No question.
Without the bravado.
No question.
Oh my goodness.
We did, I can't even talk about what stuff we did, but I mean, we had such a good time together and just so intense. And those were the days we didn't go to bed till 2:00 every night.
Right.
I mean, it was like,
just,
the lesson plans, this, that, whatever, we were.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, I got to be considerate of your time. I want to wrap up a little 2-minute drill here. Full court press. It could be any sport. Who's your all-time favorite athlete?
All-time favorite athlete. I've got to go Michael Jordan.
Okay. Not bad.
I just loved him.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just fun to watch. Sure. I've never seen an athlete like him.
Yeah. Who would you say is the best shooter ever?
Larry Bird, you can't beat that too much.
I'll take that. That's nice.
Now, Steph Curry is great too. There's no question.
Yeah.
But again, Larry just seemed to always hit. I don't know.
It's funny when you ask questions like this. It's like, who's the greatest tennis player ever? But then you say, well, who would you want to win a tennis match to save your life?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Let Larry take that shot.
I want Larry Bird to take that shot.
Yeah.
And if I want somebody to start my team, I want Michael Jordan to be my first choice.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, who's the greatest passer you ever saw?
Passer? Bird wasn't a bad passer either now.
Good point.
And Oscar Robertson wasn't either. Of course, that's before your time.
I remember Big O a little bit. He averaged a triple-double.
Magic was a great passer.
That's pretty solid. Pistol Pete?
Oh, man, every Saturday we would go watch him play and then go play that night in high school.
Yeah.
And our coach hated it because we all, we try and do everything Pete Maravich.
Yeah.
He was an unbelievable player. God.
How crazy would he be?
Chill bumps. Well, I loved Pete Maravich. I loved him.
All right. Who's the best defensive player you've ever seen?
Shoot. Michael Cooper wasn't bad. Again, I'm in an era. I'm stuck in an era a little bit, I guess. Now, I had a girl that played for me that was unbelievable defense player. Her name was Christy Schull, still Sears.
Okay.
And golly, she was an athlete that was just not what you call a great basketball player, but just, I mean, she'd be pressing on one end, she'd be down on help side, and the next second, I mean, it'd just be.
Yeah.
We were practicing one day, and we were working on the press, and, we're talking about if this goes here, blah, 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 you got to be 35-degree angle, blah, 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 and she'd start crying, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what you're talking about. I said, just trap it, baby, everywhere it goes, okay? And she would.
She did.
Because she would always get back in position. Great help side play.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Cool. Well, who's your all-time favorite sports team? Could be any sport.
Wow. Loved the Packers in the 60s, okay? I was a big Packer fan. Basketball, gotcha. You just can't beat the Bulls too much, Baseball, I was a Minnesota Twins fan growing up.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why. I love the Twins. I don't know why. Maybe just I was a big baseball fan. I knew everybody average. I can name their starting line. That's why I hate sports today. Not hate it, but I hate that. I know the money. I know free agency. I know all that. I get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I grew up as a kid where I knew everybody on the team for years.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So if it's
UCLA would probably have to be my favorite college team.
That's pretty solid. Was it Michael Warren? Bill Walton?
Michael Warren. Yeah. When Bill Walton didn't play with Michael Warren. Michael Warren was with Kareem.
Okay.
Michael Warren, Lucius Allen, Michael Warren. They were all on the same team. And then Sidney Wicks and Bill Walton maybe. Sidney might have been young on Bill Walton's team.
Was Goodrich on that same team with Kareem?
No, Goodrich was the first one. First national championship back in 64 with Walt Hazzard. Yeah. That was 60s. That was the very first UCLA national championship.
All right.
Was Gail Goodrich and Walt Hazzard back, that 65, maybe 64.
Yeah.
I love them. I still remember watching Kareem, UCLA and Houston playing. It was on a Saturday night at the Astrodome. First time it, sold out 50,000. Biggest basketball.
The court looked like that big compared to the right. Yeah,
you really couldn't see
pictures.
Anything.
Yeah,
but Elvin Hayes, he was great.
Yeah,
and they beat UCLA that night.
Okay,
and made me sick. It just made me sick. And then they played them 2 weeks later in the maybe not 2 weeks later, about a month later in the NCAA tournament, and they beat them by 25.
Yeah,
UCLA did. Nice. Of course, Kareem was hurt that game, and I used that as an excuse. He played, but he was hurt.
Okay.
That was a great team, though. Don Wooden was something else, too.
So have you ever heard of this? Somebody says, like, for the rest of your life, you could only have sweets or salty. Which one would you choose?
Sweets or salty?
Yeah.
Salty.
Okay.
Salty.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a bonus question. So if you could only watch pro or college basketball the rest of your life, which one are you watching?
College.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, again, it's a little bit different during this time period. I don't enjoy it as much as I used to because everybody's moving around.
Yeah.
Nobody's. Yeah. There's not a team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love for there to be teams. And again, you see the team that wins most of the time. They've been together a while. I mean, these basketball teams, they're older. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
They're not the one and dones. They're not the.
Sure.
I mean, you got to be a little more. But college basketball for sure. Yeah. I mean, a group of us used to go to the NCAA first and second round every year. We did it for about 10 years. And we go different places all around the South. Had a blast. Yeah. But that was the best. That might have been the most fun watching games of all.
Yeah.
Just the first and second round because everything was so intense.
Right.
And first games might not have been as great, but that second game was always, and you see how it is now. I mean, gosh. But there's nothing more fun than, Final Four.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know if you can get better than that.
Nice. Intensity, right? All right. Last question.
What's yours?
What's that? Choice?
You said favorite.
I'm a Celtics fan,
But you were a pro. You came from a pro town, see?
I don't know,
You're Pittsburgh. I mean, you're.
Yeah, but they didn't have pro ball. So, but my dad,
Pittsburgh?
When I was little, I was loving basketball. My dad said, "You watch them; they play great ball." That was John Havlicek.
Celtics, yeah.
And then I also wanted to play for Bobby.
My daughter lived in Chicago for a couple of years.
Okay.
Her husband was in med school and he was doing an internship there. And I love Chicago. I don't know if you've ever been there much, but it was a great town. And now my other daughter lives in St. Louis now.
Okay.
Those are pro towns.
Sure.
Those aren't college towns.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they don't even, I get on her fiance always goes, y'all not in the SEC. Missouri's not in the SEC, really. And I
Good
said,
point.
if this was Georgia, everybody'd have Georgia shirts on.
Yeah. Right.
Nobody's,
Yeah.
Yeah. They're college. Cardinals and all that.
Yeah.
They're all
Right. Yeah. That's loyal. All right.
Cubs.
Last question for you. What's your favorite book?
Oh, wow. Gosh. There used to be, I now read less. I'm more of a stories guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But Tom Clancy wrote a lot of books. I mean, Tom Clancy is, and I read and I love his books. They were all military. They were all spy novels, that kind of thing. And again, I've read all the sports books that I love. Now, Bobby Knight's books were great. John Wooden's books were great. But I guess I was always, when I read, it was more historical books.
Sure.
I was, I mean, I can't give you one, but I love reading history books. I don't know. I loved it. I always have. When I was little, that was when you didn't have anything, you had encyclopedias.
Right.
I would just comb through the encyclopedias like Civil War or World War II. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was always loved that.
Yeah. That's something you take to your granddaughter today. Here's an encyclopedia. What is this?
They don't know. There's a lot of things they don't know.
Yeah, right.
Well, my daughters don't know an encyclopedia.
Right. Yeah. And people used to sell them door to door.
Well, I thought they were the greatest thing in the world. And I can remember at the end of the year, sometimes they would send a year in the review book on the encyclopedias. And God, just combed through it.
Yeah.
And I can't remember my brothers or sisters really doing it, but I just love encyclopedias. I'd sit and just
that's very cool.
Look up stuff.
Right.
And I do that now on the internet. If somebody asks something, I go back. I'll be looking. I'll be just,
nice
reading about it.
Nice. Well, hey, man, I appreciate your time. This has been a lot of fun.
I love you and I love your family. And we didn't talk about your daddy, but he has been a great mentor to me. A lot of things when I was young, I would call him and he was just the greatest man. Your mother too, just a great woman. Just really, I miss him. I really miss him a lot. I mean, I know you do, but he was just a fun guy and he didn't candy coat anything, And he was pretty much a competitor himself.
Yeah. Well, and he thought the world of you and Dwight. It's like, and he told me it hurt him after Dwight passed away because he did reference that he used to love watching you guys battle on the tennis court. So,
we had blasts. But I used to watch him play some little sports every once in a while.
He'd get after it,
Over at the Y, he'd play, paddleball, and he used to come over there a lot. And, I mean, you'd hear them in there. They about kill each other.
Yeah, he and Coach Pearson, right? Yeah.
Oh, God, Coach Pearson.
Yeah.
Oh, do you hear from him much?
We've emailed back and forth a little bit in the last 6 or 8 months.
Where is he?
He's still up in Rome. I don't know where he is exactly, but
he used to come to the Y a lot. I don't ever see him up there.
I think I'm not sure if he had a eye issue or something, but I can give you his information after we get off air. So.
Okay, when we get off air, let me ask you.
Yeah. All right, man. I appreciate this, and I'm going to have fun editing this, and I'm going to be enjoying the laughs again.
You might have to edit a lot.
That's all right. Sure. So we're not at Schroeder's.
Make me look good. Make me look good.
I will, man. I appreciate it. So I love you too, Coach. And for you out there, if you like this episode, please forward it to a friend and make sure you push that subscription button. So till next time, make the most of your time and hang tough. All right. Stay with